Holy special guest episode. This is Flight Check Season 3, Episode 8. We're back, once again, talking all aspects of FlyQuest, the LCS, and how to be a social media content superstar. That is all coming up tonight. My name, as always, is Sandy Toes, and to my left, and my extra left, tonight's hosts, Parkmom and Curly Double Q. Parkmom, welcome to the show. I didn't ask you this beforehand. I should have. Do you prefer Parkmom, Parker, Park? You know, what's the usual way of going about things for you?
It's so funny you ask me that because it seems very interchangeable, and it's not even on depending on the person. My roommate of like a year, who's one of my best friends in college, and we lived together for a while, she would call me Parkmom once in a while, or Parker. Some staff at work will call me Parkmom just randomly.
Yeah.
My mother calls me Parkmom once in a while.
That's great.
Yeah, she's actually the one that came up with the username Parkmom. So
that's funny.
I prefer Parker or Parkmom, and not like one of those people who like care. I enjoy both. It's basically a tag at this point.
So if your mom came up with it, what's the origin story behind Parkmom? I think this is probably the most important question we will ask you all night.
Yeah, it's actually really funny. So as many of us in the mid 2000s, I was really enthralled with the idea of Club Penguin. And I took the idea of asking for parents' permission to a T. And one night I was like, Mom, I need your help. I need to sign up for this website, because I had no idea what a Gmail, or I don't even think Gmail was a thing back then. I didn't know.
It was all Hotmail and Yahoo and stuff like that.
Yeah, yep. And so I was like, I need your help. And we were setting up the account with parents' permission and stuff, and we were trying to come up with a username. And I wanted something cool, you know. I wanted something really awesome. And I walk away for a bit, and then I come back, and she's already entered it in. It's just Parkmom. I was so upset. I was so mad. I was like, that's so lame. It's such a bad username. I'm going to, and so I was upset about it. Well, then, 3 or 4 years passed, and I was creating a PlayStation Network account. And again, I wanted the badass name. I wanted something cool, Assassin Slayer, 343.
X underscore Angel Slayer XX,
Yeah, and I was trying to come up with something, and I was like, and I tried this username that I used all through, when I had a Club Penguin account, and I tried it, and it's stuck ever since. It's really good, and so that's the origin story of it, and I like that username.
Love it. No, that's
really
fantastic.
Grew into that.
No.
Yeah, no, it's great. Well, so glad to have you on the show tonight. Thank you for coming on. We've been trying to align our schedules for a little bit now, and finally the stars have aligned, and we have gotten Parker on the show. Curly has managed to make it on the show. A little bit of it was touch and go there for a moment. At first I thought it was just going to be me and Parker, which would have been fine, absolutely. Yep. But great to have Curly here as well. Knox is out on a Colorado trip for a wedding, so he will not be joining us tonight, but he will be back next week. Quick reminder that if you cannot catch all of the show, the VOD will be available here and on YouTube on our channel, Flight Check Podcast, and the audio version will be on your favorite listening platforms as well. All right, so let's get into it. Curly, do you have any questions for Parker, just to start us off, while I kind of gather my wits here?
So, are you secretly Machine Gun Kelly without the blood drink?
All right, so to give a little personal information, I get called Machine Gun Kelly a lot. It's actually quite comedic, and I was fine with it until he decided to cheat on one of the most magnificent women in the world. And now being called Machine Gun Kelly is very awkward, because I'm like, I can't be associated with that kind of mentality. So as of now, I don't care to be called Machine. Like, it was really annoying, actually, the start. And then I stopped caring, and I really don't care.
You got into it? Yeah.
I actually went as Machine Gun Kelly for Halloween, 1 year.
That's
Um,
perfect.
but it doesn't really bother me. It's at this point, it's like being called Parkmom. I just accept it at this point.
Yeah, it's just who you are.
But now we need to let it go away. If
Yeah,
anything, it's like, it's a trope of like, there's a good twin and an evil twin, and you're just the good twin,
I would hope so. I really hope so.
Nice. So you started with FlyQuest less than a year ago, still, right? Or is my time off?
Full time, I started in July of last year,
Yeah.
and I became a social media intern. Actually, it was February 13th.
Okay.
I remember to the day. So
Nice. All right. So about a year and a month since intern,
Yep.
and then 9-ish months since full time. So what? I think my first big question is, what drew you to FlyQuest in the first place? Was it the organization? Was it a particular individual? Were you? You can be honest. Were you just trying to get a job? What was the backstory behind that one?
So I was unemployed. I had recently been, for lack of better words, let's go with let go from a position at a esports gaming publisher that I will not name, and I was let go. And I had given myself about a month timeline to find a new job within the industry. And I was looking everywhere. And about 2 days before my month timeline came up and I was going to go and work wherever at that point.
Yeah.
I just kind of slid across my table, and I had always heard of FlyQuest. I hadn't followed. I think I was still in tune with LCS, but through college, I was phasing out a little bit. You get to a certain point with certain esports where you start to phase out, and the grasp of being unemployed and having bills was at the top of my list. And I saw this intern position, and I kind of just shot it on a whim. And I am fortunate enough to this day to have been given the opportunity. I think a lot of people know this for a fact that esports is by far one of the hardest industries to get into. And I would say probably one of the more scarier ones to get into right now with everything going on.
Absolutely.
So there was no one person, or there was no, I had always known about them. The reputation of being the good guys had been there. I had remembered them from the back-to-back finals appearances. And I believe I had heard about them taking a game off of TES.
Never forget.
Never forget. I also had heard about them through their long stint in Apex and Rocket League. Their very, very long stint. And so that's kind of my experience before I had came on.
Nice. So was social media stuff kind of always your career track? Were you looking to do something else after graduating college, or did you always want to get into kind of the social media content creation sphere?
So I had taken on the role of social media person. For those of you who don't know, spoiler alert, I was in a fraternity, and we had a public relations. That was the position, public relations chair, and I had taken it on. And I had actually followed a lot of esports and stuff through college, and social media on campus was so boring. I remember everyone was like, "Oh, come to our event, recruitment and all this other stuff," and that's it, and that's all you would hear from them. Or look at our fun members, and I'd be like, "That's so boring." You have this captivated audience of 1,000, but we had quite a decent following, and I was like, I'm gonna make it our own thing. I'm gonna have fun with it. And I basically took esports psychology when it comes to social media, and I flexed it that way. And back then, when I ran things, it was one of the more popular fraternity social medias on campus. Keep in mind, there was only 4 fraternities and 3 sororities, so
Not a lot of competition.
Not a lot of competition, but people really loved it and what I did. And so I then got a position with Boom TV, if you know that organization. I worked as a TikTok, I worked as a TikTok contractor. Left that shortly before graduating, worked for another place. I was kind of in the esports gaming peripheral realm. And then my job after that landed me at the doorsteps of FlyQuest.
Nice. What?
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna ask, did any of those sororities did they ever make one of those like creepy videos where like they open the door and everyone's like screaming and like they start clapping and doing a chant?
Clapping.
Yeah.
Boom boom 80 pi. So
Yeah, exactly.
There was a chapter on campus that was 80 pi.
Oh no.
They never did a TikTok, but I remember one time they do a boom clap thing and they recorded it and put it on their socials, and we all agreed it was one of the most spookiest things in the world.
It looks
it's
simultaneously like cultic and demonic and satanic and just pure evil all at the same time.
You know, I wonder what if like an esports organization reenacted that to get like someone to join their fandom. We can't wait for you to be a part of C9.
I can assure you there's nothing on the docket. There's nothing coming up along those lines. I will go to my grave before I'm ever part of that kind of social stance. I'll like don't get me wrong. I'll sell out a lot, but that is not one of the things I'm willing to do.
Yeah, totally. You mentioned something kind of interesting there. You said you brought the esports psychology kind of to the fraternity, content creation sphere, public relations sphere, I guess. Maybe go into depth. What do you mean when you say esports psychology in terms of content? Because I don't know if I've heard that phrasing of it before.
Yeah, so I think esports in itself, when it comes to social media, is far from any other industry when it comes to this, at least my portion of the industry. I think it's really important to keep in mind that the brand dies and lives on social media. Yeah. We are very integral part of how a brand and voice sounds from day to day. And so I had always known about and this is one of the greatest things about FlyQuest and why I love it so much is we have the opportunity to have this actual voice within esports. It's not just like the winning mentality. It's not just like, we're winners. We have actual ideology when it comes to things. And so and again, this was before, like when I was in college, I had known about FlyQuest, but I hadn't taken that portion from it. But my fraternity, we had a lot of set ground rules and how we wanted to be perceived. And one of those perceptions were we wanted to be known as the gentleman on campus. We wanted to hold ourselves not just above other fraternities, but above ourselves and set an example. And some of the posts and stuff I would do would be subject around that. Don't get me wrong, I also memed a lot while I was the social person.
Of course.
But it's also taking that line of giving a brand identity / voice to the social media at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Curly, anything from you?
So on that whole meme idea, you, I'd say, are the biggest memer I have ever gotten to know in the esports scene. And you just always have something, if there's a trend, you will be one of the first 3 people in line for that trend, is what I've noted. So how did you get on to being so on top of the meme trends?
So like most children, Gen Z rather, I grew up on the internet, and I grew up probably not for the betterment of my development as a person or my brain, but I grew up watching a lot of TV as a kid. I grew up watching a lot of YouTube videos. I grew up a lot of time exploring the internet, and I think I like to think I'm a funny person, but I think I really shine when it comes to my memes, and my humor, it really is good there. And so all through high school and college and up until now, memes have always been a part of me to express that humor. I started actually a few meme trends on campus, one of which was the flowchart meme, which I won't get into. It's a story for another day. And then I started a Kermit for President meme on campus as well. And so to to be part of like, this whole like meme like idea and like, being on top of things. At the end of the day, anyone can meme. Anyone can like, put in their time. It's kind of like, not to sound cringe, it's kind of like Ratatouille. Anyone can cook. But you have to make sure that you're doing it in a way where it's tasteful. It's like any dish that you make. You gotta make sure it's tasteful. You gotta make sure it's like, well developed and things like that. And I guess through like in my fraternity, we were always memeing. I was always putting out memes,
Right.
and it was different formats of memes. In high school, I was doing the same thing, and so I would look at my path to here and now to every meme I made has gotten me to this point, as cringe as it sounds.
Yeah.
This might be the most insightful conversation I've ever had about memes, and I'm so happy. And also the fact that you mentioned Ratatouille, and I instantly pictured you on like the cover of your own book, like anyone can meme, and your post just like Gusteau with the freaking pants.
I think people like, it sounds really cringe, but I think memeing is kind of an art, and like I said, anyone can do it, but you got to be good at it. I think there are Twitter accounts, and not esports, but there are accounts that try to meme and fall flat. We are 1 year to the anniversary of the celebrities experience the most hardship of their life, witnessing Will Smith slap Chris Rock, and I remember working that night. I had just become an intern at that point. I no more than a month, and I was one of the first people to meme that. I was like right on top of it. And I'm always looking for new ways to think of how to make something a meme, along with like making sure that it's tasteful.
Yeah.
I never want to cross a line and do something bad.
Yeah, you never want to post something and then 12 hours later the FlyQuest account has a big wall of text saying the meme that was posted earlier today was not in line with our directions and goals as an organization.
No, I don't want to immortals tweet.
Or some certain TSM tweets back in the day either. So
no, and I think even if you ask like some of my coworkers, I will ask them about a piece of media that I'm not familiar with to make sure that it is safe and friendly.
Yeah.
And like if I don't know something about a piece of media but I find it funny, I need to make sure that I am on top of what it is and what I'm sending out.
Yeah.
And so it's always a risk at the end of the day, but I'm always willing to make sure that what I'm putting out is good.
Yeah. Well, in many ways it's another form of comedy. Like you're not a stand-up comedian where you've got the audience right there in front of you, but you are, in a sense, performing to an audience of tens of thousands of followers who are instantly reacting to what you have to say, and you are performing a joke for that audience. So it's like, it is comedy, and it is trying to be funny on the internet, and it's like, it's a legitimate profession, in my opinion, where you're actually trying to connect with people and make them laugh, and then ultimately they give you their money. So in another way.
I think that's a good example of like giving your money is along the lines of like I have a very strong feeling about parasocial relationships. I think parasocial relationships are a huge thing in this industry.
I could talk about this all day. Oh boy.
And I won't deep dive into it, but I studied parasocial relationships in college. I took a media study. My degree is in communication, not communications, communication. I studied how people communicate with one another, how people develop ways of talking, along with the philosophy behind rhetoric. And though I've lost a lot of the talking points I spent $40,000 on a year, I will say a lot of what I learned is still vital to what I'm doing today. And when it comes to like parasocial relationships, I want to make sure that I'm doing good and I'm not doing bad. And actually, fun fact for you all, a little bit about me. So I did a senior thesis. We're supposed to in our major. And I did my senior thesis on CSGO Lotto. And I actually wrote a paper on how influencers apologize and how you will see a certain type of pattern when it comes to apologizing to an audience. And so that's a little background on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. A few more questions, and then we're going to turn it over to the LCS side of the house.
Yeah.
One random question I have. So, the FlyQuest TikTok pops off with all kinds of memes and content on there. What kind of goes into, like, what's the step-by-step process in creating one of those? Because obviously, first you have to have the idea, but then you got to, like, go into the game, record the scene that you're basically having people act out. Like, I assume that you've got, like, 2 people logged into a custom, and, you know, you're doing something to, you know, manipulate the moment or whatever that you need.
So I work alongside Bumsy, who is our video producer or head of video producer. I forget his title, but he's a fabulous guy, and he's really talented, and he has gotten the TikTok to where it is today. I need to make this clear now. FlyQuest would not be where it is without the help of everyone. A part of it here now, and those who have gone before us. Not that they're dead, but I am by no means the only sole person creating this stuff and creating this kind of art, and there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to things. And so, like, I'm a big part of, like, you know, like the memes and stuff, but there's still people helping me. Like, Shot is a big proponent. I will always throw memes at his way. He will always throw memes my way. I am making sure that things are always, you know, on cue. But sorry, to go through the process of a TikTok, most of the times I just go into the practice tool, and I will think of the scene I want and how it will be played out. I'll play it out like 4 or 5 times, and you know make sure it's good, and then I will go in with there's something called Creator Suite or League of Legends Replay or something, and I will use that, and then I'll just edit. Primarily, I edited them on my own. Me and Bumsy can basically do the editing on our own for most of this. For the one TikTok that I did that popped off, the Yumi, the cat spinning, if you remember that one, it was a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And then, like, Cho'Gath is running down the towers, and there's this poor Ashe just not being able to do anything. That actually is just me as Cho'Gath and an AI bot. I had figured out that the bot will actually run away from you if you're a certain level ahead of it.
Yes, yeah.
And it will actually try not to fight you if it believes that you can tower dive it. And so I just went to Dragon, ate a bunch of the dragons over and over again, did a bunch, and like I think I got the thing up to like 20,000 health. And then I just set up this scene. I just found where the Ashe is, and I just went after her and ran down that lane and ate her at the end. And then I just went in, got the shot I needed, added the cat, and that was that at the end of the day.
That's brilliant.
She ran away from you and you still ate her, you monster.
Yeah, no, it was, and it's still one of like my favorite like videos I've done because it's so funny.
Yeah, that is good. What would, speaking of favorite things, favorite tweets that you have dropped on the FlyQuest account? Do any come to mind that were just like you looked at it? You're like, this is a grade A banger. You dropped it, and everyone responded with, this was a grade A banger.
It's so funny that you ask that because I think you can ask like Sonica or Shot or anyone, and they will tell you verbatim that I get a lot of validation for when I get these kind of comments, and they will say, I will laugh at my own memes, like through and through. I think I'm hilarious.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, and so I'll laugh at like my own tweet, but there are some memes that I've done that have popped off that I'm like, that's good, like that's really good. And then there are some that have just been, you know, not near misses. But my favorite one that I think I've done so far that I think was kind of I always like to do a pieces of media, or like I try to make TikToks or like tweets that like people will like, but then there'll be like a subsect who'll be like, this person knows this thing, and that's awesome. And so one of my favorite ones I did was Old Country for No Men. Yeah. And it was Ashran Tagan. and it was him being like, how much have you lost on a 50-50 smite? And then Space Ghost, fabulous person, she said this needs to be put in the French Museum, because it is so well done and it's like so like thought out, and that's by far one of my favorite ones I've done.
No, that's a very good meme. Sometimes it's like the niche memes too, the ones that like,
Yep.
like, oh wow, that's a deep cut reference right there.
Yep. Another one would have to be my mobile Legends one, where this was when the whole like verification stuff was coming out, and we had put verified League of Legends on one portion, and then Mobile Legends was the Twitter Blue user. And a lot of people were like, "This is so good," but then there was like a giant minority or majority of like Mobile Legends fans who were so upset. And sometimes
how dare you?
And it's just like your game, and they're like, how many like world championships does FlyQuest have? And I'm like, I've never even heard of the Mobile Legends like like championship or whatever. And so poking that bear I'm fine with. I'm totally fine with it. And like I think actually the commissioner of the LCS, Jackie, like responded with like the skull emoji.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew it was really good. When she's willing to make fun of it.
When she's willing to laugh at it.
Yeah.
It's funny that the Mobile Legends scene came after you guys. I feel like no matter what somebody tweets, if they're like a popular figure in the scene or an influencer or whatever, if I scroll down far enough, there will be somebody just like saying something absolutely foul in response to them, calling them names, disagreeing, even if it's like the most benign take, like, hey guys, I think peanut butter and bananas on toast is actually really good. And then, you scroll all the way down and someone's like, how dare you say that? That is the most brain dead take I've ever heard in my life. So, yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, Twitter has divulged into what people thought it would never become, and that's basically Reddit.
Yeah.
Where everyone's opinions need to be heard, and if you are wrong, you will be told that you are wrong. And so I think it brings up an interesting point of how do you handle like the toxic spudge of everyday stuff, because you guys see it, like if we have a loss or if we perform poorly, we will instantly have people in our replies, instantly people like commenting like, how could you be so foolish to pick up this player, how could you like draft this way? And
you're sitting there thinking like, how did I draft this? I can't believe I drafted Aatrox on 5.
Yeah, me, the social media guy. Damn, why did I do that?
I'm never taking Gangplank again. Yeah.
I think it's taken, because I'm a very like passionate person. I'm a very like, you could ask my coworkers. Last night during J-Mook's run, I was screaming. I was so jacked. I was so happy, and I was like just yelling in the office. And I also have my moments where I'm frustrated. But something I need to keep in mind is I need to not take it personally. I need to not. I just need to remind myself that they're just random Twitter users. They're at the end of the day, if you don't, it's so like. I'm in a Discord with a bunch of other social media managers in the LCS, and one time there was someone who commented on the state that like this team drafted poorly, and they were blaming, the social media manager, not directly, but they were like going to respond to it. And the best thing to do in those kind of certain situations is not respond. You quickly realize how much they don't care when you're not interacting with them. The second that you interact with them, you're giving them power back, and they feed off of that. I think a good example is, has anyone here seen What We Do in the Shadows?
No, but I know exactly what you're about to reference.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. Colin is a vampire who just drains other people.
Yes.
And there's an episode where he's just an online troll, and he gets so much power from it.
Yeah.
And so it's actually a real thing. These people get power from just being a troll, and I need to remind myself on a daily that it's like, if you respond to it, they're just going to keep coming back because they know they can get a reaction out of you.
Right.
And so we as a team, do a really good job of just not responding to it.
Yeah. No, I think you have to. All right, I've got one more question, and then Curly,
Yep.
if you've got a question,
Yeah.
fire away.
Yeah, I've got something. Yeah.
Perfect. So my quick question is, how closely are you working with Avalie May? Recently joined the FlyQuest team. What's it like working with her? Getting her stuff put together, the crazy ideas that she has. Yeah, what's that been like for you?
So I've only been in office for about a week. Avali has been with us for about a month now.
Something like that. Yeah.
Um, uh, I, 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 I think Avali is by far one of the most passionate people about League of Legends when it comes to wanting to include everyone, be inclusive, along with making sure that what we are putting out is good, but also funny. She's very smart, like very smart, and she knows what she's talking about. And I do take into consideration what she has to say about something. And so that being said, is like I haven't been able to work with her that much, but there are skits or ideas that she'll just throw at us and just you'll like you'll be like wow I could never have thought of it like that.
Mm.
But like it's also the passion that she brings. um when we like when she was like hitting those thunder sticks. I don't know if you saw in our stuff, but she was hitting those thunder
Yeah, I
sticks.
did. Yeah.
And yep, that's not her playing a character. That's just her being her.
Yeah.
She is always. I don't think. I think not that she doesn't get embarrassed, but that she wants to be herself, and I think that is a amicable, amazing trait to have. And so I'm really fortunate enough to work alongside someone willing to do fun stuff like that. I get embarrassed a little bit, and to see her passion that she puts into things, I'm really honored at the end of the day. But also, I need to say this is like these are also just real people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When Papa Smithy Chris was brought on board, it was starstruck. I was like, big figure from One Hundred Thieves to the LCK to Worlds, and then you get to know him, and he's just a real person at the end of the day.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's a really great way of putting it. All right, Curly,
Awesome.
your chance now.
All right. I've got a rather simple question, and Sandy,
Yeah.
this one actually, I want to put this one to you as well.
Oh
This one
boy.
might group.
Uh-oh.
What is your favorite meme of all time? Where
Oh
you
gosh.
you might not have seen it for a year or
Yes.
two. Someone put it, and it always hits the same.
Oh.
I know mine off the bat. I
Ye-
can go if you'd like.
I think
I know mine too.
I-
I've got two, but I know my number one.
there is one that came to mind, but Parker, you go first.
I loved the moth lamp meme, and not Mothman. I hate that meme, but I love where it's just like lamp. It would always crack me up, and I still look at them sometimes. I'll be like lamp, and it's still by far one of my favorite memes. I wish it would come back, and there are days that I would just be like, please, like it has to. And I don't even think it was around for that long. I think it was only around for like I remember it was in college because I beamed on a lot, and it was very hot pan flash. But once it was gone, and I miss it every day. And I think you can ask some of my coworkers. I bring it up once in a while, but like I wish this meme was relevant today.
All right. As I am wont to do, there's like three that come to mind. So one is it's I don't know
Pick
what
one, you gotta pick.
I don't know what anime it's from, but it's like two characters and they're like hovering over a computer, and one's like, "Hey bro, tell him he don't miss," and the other one's like, "Aight bro." There's that one. It's a great response. And then the memes where it's the older gentleman and he's always talking about like like the size of a dub, or like he's always talking about big dubs.
He's actually a famous rapper. Yep,
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
who you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
So he's always talking. He's always got like a big cigar. And then the
Yep.
third one was it's just like a random meme someone made of like it's Woody from Toy Story, and he's like in like a couple different poses, and the caption is just, "I know you've got a lot going on right
Oh.
now, but just know you did this to yourself. And that one just always cracks me up as
Oh
well.
my goodness.
I thought you were gonna do the "hold on, let him cook" meme, which I have my personal feelings
Oh,
about.
let him cook his. Oh, the one from Kingdom Hearts. That one's
was
pretty good
for
too.
like
But yeah.
2 weeks, but like
It got
it's stayed
old.
on a bit too long.
Once the
All right.
LCS jumped on the
Yes.
let him cook,
Yes.
I was like, all right, this
You,
sell all my stocks in the let him
Yeah.
cook meme. It's over.
You guys have some respectable memes, but my two favorite memes of all time are memes that are eternal and will never die because there will always be a way to bring them back. And they are the loss meme
Oh yes.
and Bean Rickroll.
uh,
Because there are so many ways to make a reference to loss.
it's
And
I've seen
had
some
TikToks
incredible
come
loss,
up like
yeah.
a month ago that are fresh and reference loss.
I
And I
don't
love
know.
it so much.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I think I read an article like 6 months ago talking to the original creator of the Lost panel,
Oh,
who,
the guy who wrote Control Delete.
yeah,
Yeah, I used to read that
he-
comic all the time.
yeah, he's talked about it, and he actually is more than happy with it, because it brings light to things. He just never thought it would be as popular as it is, or like long lasting.
Yeah. Dang.
See, if I were ever a professor in communications, I would make sure I have a whole section on loss because like it's a perfect example of abstraction of communication and still knowing what you're talking about.
I think, yeah, we did a small subject in our media class when I was in college talking about memes and stuff, and it felt like really good because I felt like Einstein for once in my life, where I was like, I know this kind of stuff, and I think it's also a really good talking point of people communicate through memes so easily.
Oh, yeah,
it's so
absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, great conversation. Parker, thank you for answering our numerous questions. But it is time to transition to why we're all here. Not just for Parker's excellent knowledge of memes and internet culture, but for some LCS. So we are going to check in around the league real quick with Spring LCS. Immortals and Dignitas officially out of playoffs, and looking at FlyQuest, a couple interesting things to note. They just need to win one game, and they're locked top 3 for sure. And I think if they win and EG drops a game, they lock top 2. So good things there. Parker, I'm going to ask you this because I only ever get to ask Nox and Curly. What, like, LCS narrative or trend has been standing out to you in the last couple weeks?
You know, it's actually funny that you asked me that because I kind of turn off my brain sometimes when it comes to the LCS, and I'm gonna need a quick refresher. I'm trying to. There was the apocalypse of the handshake.
Oh yeah.
There was the Vulcan, Ayla,
Twitter
banter,
beef, yeah.
Twitter beef. I think, and you guys talked about this on last flight check because I do keep in tuned.
Ooh.
And I think it was you, Sandy, who mentioned this, and I was surprised all three of you didn't mention this. But the narrative I really have been enjoying is Golden Guardians.
Yes.
Looking not like a middle of the pack, but a top 4 contender, and potentially, depending on how 100 games play out, you could honestly be top 3 in some aspect, way, shape, or form. Stixay, who has been in the league forever, looking as good as the CLG days. It's amazing how we like to write off players when they hit a certain age, and
You're completely right.
once they hit a certain age, it's like washed. Grandpa, they're done, over. But one player that has kind of beat that testament is not just Impact, but also Stixay. And I think he should be really considered for how determination is. And also the fact that a Golden Guardians FlyQuest championship game is not only plausible but possible.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I think if I don't think there's like a comeback player of the split or of the year award, but I legitimately think that they should make one specially for Stixay, because his story this split so far has been a guy who's been beaten down the last few years, putting on clinics.
And like Gory is just fantastic right now, and it's so wild because like I think people kind of that may have been Dig. Never mind. Never mind. Nope, that was Dig because they had visa issues as well. But anyways, I think it's amazing on how like perseverance is a huge thing still in the LCS, and it's good to have these kind of storylines and these what. And I will say this, and not just because it's FlyQuest, but I love seeing newer orgs at the top and not the same three year after year.
Yeah.
A perfect example of this is when Team Liquid won their first championship, and Steve was like, "I'm tired of seeing the same three, TSM, Cloud9, CLG."
Yeah.
And then they got added on, and so then it was like those four, and then CLG fell off a little bit, and then it was like 100 Thieves, and then EG, and I'm glad we're in a point where we're not in like 2018 or 19 where we're seeing the same like dominating orgs year after year.
Yeah.
And again, not just because my org is tied for first right now or anything,
right.
but it makes for good storytelling, and it makes for a more compelling viewership at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the top 5 in the league right now, we can, because technically 100 Thieves, CLG, and TSM are all tied for 5th, but you've got the only like legacy org really that is up there is Cloud9.
9. Yep.
It's FlyQuest. It's us. Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves, who still has never won a I'm sorry, they have won one championship.
Yep.
EG has won one championship.
One.
Golden Guardians has never won a split. All the way down in that, tied for 5th and 8th spot are 3 orgs that have done so much in this league between CLG, TSM, and Team Liquid.
It's wild.
And they are in the bottom half of the league. And crazy enough to say, fighting for like that last playoff spot. Between those 3 teams, 2 of them are probably not getting into playoffs.
I think it's actually wild to think about, like, if we were in, and like this is going to sound really like, because it's from my perspective, but I'm glad we're in a time now where relegations is no longer a thing.
Oh yeah.
It's I as a FlyQuest staff member and someone who works in esports, but I think relegations was pretty hurtful to the development of things. And I'm really fortunate that we don't have those anymore. But I don't think that means that teams should just be able to slide by and not try their hardest.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really glad to see that there are orgs now, newer orgs, wanting to be in the top or wanting to, be at the, limelight for once or twice. And so it's really fun. It's a really fun season. I think some people have been saying like this is the best season when it comes to narratives, when it comes to gameplay, to overall everything, all wrapped in a Thursday, Friday time slot that you can enjoy from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at any time of the day.
It's true. Or that nice 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. time for yours truly.
For East Coasters.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the whole thing about relegations and all the teams. I would actually argue, in some way, shape, or form, every team this split legitimately tried to put together a decent to very good roster. Even, like, you want to make fun of Dignitas? Sure.
You can.
Obviously, that team's a dumpster fire, but just on name power alone, it
shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. And, you want to argue about Immortals? Okay, here's my argument. They're going for the, hey, we're trying to bring up young talent in Kenvi and Fleshy, who looks really good, by the way. Balulu has stepped in, and he actually looks pretty good. So, like, Immortals, they've got, you put a couple different pieces in that roster. I think it actually looks halfway
pretty good.
And then, like, the rest of the top 8, no one, I think, would argue that it's like, oh, what a dumpster fire of a roster. I think, legitimately, every team this split really tried to make a decent team.
I think that it's a really compelling season, to be sure, when
absolutely.
it comes to the orgs and what they're doing. And also what's like, given the state of esports, what orgs can do.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, esports is kind of a scary place right now. And so the fact that that basically all 10 are still willing to put in faith into this league and still want to see the betterment of things is by far nothing short of amazing. It's always great to see, and I know NA likes to get clowned on a lot, and no out of groups or anything like that. But I think it's also important to remember that to perform well at Worlds, we have to perform well in our region.
Right.
And the only way to do that is to start at home and building something that you think is going to perform well at the end of the day.
Yeah, I completely agree. Curly, how about you? What's been a narrative in the last couple weeks that you've been focusing in on?
So for this last week, I don't know if it's become a narrative per se, but I'm going to say what I call the return of 100 Thieves, and particularly the return of Closer. Because after a really long loss streak and switching up the coaching assignments, they come back and have a really awesome showing in week 7. It clean 2-0s off the back of Closer. Honestly, this makes me very happy because obviously our close relationship with 100 Talk Pod and other 100 Thieves fans, but also it's like, even though Doublelift has never been my favorite player, and I wouldn't say I'm a Bjergsen fan, but I think he's all right, but like, in terms of personalities, this isn't my favorite roster. But that doesn't mean I want them to lose. I don't want them to be down in the dumps. Like I wouldn't wish that on any team ever. So seeing a team break out of the chains of like losing so much, it's always good to see. And then it's especially in the fashion that they did it.
Yeah.
And I really think they are confidently going to like casually, minimally get their way into playoffs. It's like they gotta win at least 2 more games this week to have a very good shot at it, maybe 3 to put them at that 10-8, and the way they looked last week, they could very well do it.
Well, they've got TSM, EG, and Immortals, and I'm looking right at that, the TSM and Immortals games as very winnable matchups for them. So I think, a 9-9 and a 5th place spot into playoffs, very reasonable.
I think it's also important to remember that what's interesting about this split versus the other one is the fact that this is only 6 teams can get in playoffs when it comes to the 8 for next split. And so I think there's a little bit more, and especially now, since that there is the 2 team MSI spots, I know that MSI likes to get clowned on a lot for like, no one cares about MSI. I think now with the 2 teams from each region, I think it's a lot more important, or rather, it's a lot bigger of an event now than ever. Because now you're going against 2 LCK teams, 2 LPL teams, 2 LEC teams, and things like that. And so I think, and now with like next year, like Worlds, I think this is going to be a really good MSI overall.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting. More teams is always good, and all the format changes. I am very, very excited for format changes. I don't really care what they are. I don't even care if they're worse, if I'm being honest. I'm just glad that it's different, and that we get to see something that's a change from the norm, because I think it was time to change up the format and make things a little more interesting.
Oh yeah, they're doing the CS:GO Worlds thing now, right? Where it's
like a Swiss. It's like
Swiss it's a spreadsheet.
First. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Which I think that's
good.
Yeah, I think that'll be very entertaining.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah, it'll be really good. All right, so we're going to do a quick look back at the week 7 review. So, week 8 is about to happen. It's literally in 2 days, which is wild. All right, so a loss to Team Liquid on Thursday, followed by a bounce-back win over Immortals on Friday. Curly, wanted to ask you this, and Parker, you're allowed to recuse yourself from this conversation if you want to. But
I can play with it. I can't speak on like players or stuff like that,
Right,
but I
of
can,
course.
kind of give my opinion on stuff.
Absolutely.
In a playful way.
Totally. So, this is now losing to TL. 2 losses in a row. So it was the EG loss in week 6, followed by this Team Liquid loss. And then even the Immortals game, there was some questionable early game decision-making as well. Is it time? And I only say this because, you need, a little bit of that clickbait kind of question to, get in there. Is it time to start worrying? Are these trends that we're seeing, as Jat would call it, are they worrying trends? Are you concerned about where FlyQuest is going? Has this team been figured out? Or is there something else that you see as the reason behind some of these struggles lately?
It definitely seems to, this is the first week I'll split where I'm like, all right, things are a bit tough here. I'm a bit unsettled by what the team's doing right now because it was a very rocky win against Immortal when it shouldn't have been close at all. And so I will say I am a bit nervous about things. Now, do I still have faith in the team? Of course. Do I think they're going to look a lot more critically at themselves and really shore up on whatever issues are causing this, which I know in the article that Speaka did an interview for, it basically boiled down to communication problems. So are they going to work on improving that? Yeah, this is a competitive team with one of the most competitive rosters we've fielded, and I'd say the most infrastructure we've had in the organization at all times. So for week 8, I think we're going to bounce back well enough to put us in a good place. We're guaranteed upper bracket anyway, so we have 2 shots no matter what happens. But I'm a bit more cautious with my optimism right now. I will say that.
If I may say something, and I can say this because Papa Smithy has mentioned this a few times. I think he talked to us on Hotline League and another podcast, and it's to always keep in mind that you're never going to have the complete cohesion or the when you end the split, we're really looking for improvement overall. And so when we have these games that drop like we did, there's so much more you can take away from these drop games than you can these loss games. And so, though the loss to EG and Team Liquid stung a lot, I'm sure without a doubt they took a lot away from it. And they probably can take a lot away from the IMT game. But it's really good perspective to have. And I think maybe this is hopium, copium, something like that. And for clarity's sake, I don't know what happens behind closed doors. But I'm looking forward to playoffs. I'm sure it'll be good. We still have a really competitive roster, and I think it's going to be fun. No matter what happens, I think it's going to be a fun playoffs. It's crazy to think about how quickly this split has gone. It's gone by so quick.
We're headed into the last week. It's in 2 days.
It is insane.
Yep. And I know everyone's so jacked about the whole LEC, winter, spring, summer thing, but I'm so glad that we have 8 weeks versus that.
Yeah.
I really have enjoyed how the split has gone, and there's a lot to take away from it, and there's a lot to be excited about when it comes to playoffs and international.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of on the same page there. I think I said this last week after the loss to Evil Geniuses. And what I said last week was, hey, this is a very okay time and probably the most optimistic time or optimal time to take an L. And I'm going to say the same thing here for this Week 7 loss, where this is a good time, if any, to drop a game. And here's why I say that. You don't want to drop too many games weeks 1 to 4. Because if you do that, then you start to feel the pressure. Okay, we got to really perform on stage now. Can't drop any more games. I mean, we walked out of the first round robin 8-1. Pretty much assured of playoffs. Only had to win a few more games to get upper bracket. So, really good chance, for us to hone in on, the small things that the team needs to do to be a, top tier team. So now it's okay, I think, for us to work on some of those more, minuscule things, some of those communication issues. I can't recommend that interview that Spica did, and I'm so sorry that I can't cite that interview right now off the top of my head. Curly, maybe you can find it. I know Knox sent it probably in the Flight Check Discord somewhere.
Yeah.
But, Spica goes very in-depth in that interview about how it's a communication problem. He admits as much. And the nice thing is that communication is something most of the time you can fix. It's not like it's a mechanics issue where you're just simply not as good at the game. Communication, you can learn how to communicate with someone better or how to communicate your own thoughts better. And that's why I'm not too concerned yet. Mm-hmm. I think, going into best of fives, do I think that they will be clean 3-0s? Probably not at this point. I'm expecting more 3-1s, more 3-2s. Honestly, that's more exciting. Let's be honest.
For you.
Yeah, for me, from the sheer entertainment perspective, I love a good 3-2.
Am I going to England or am I staying home for a month?
Yeah. Am I in depression mode or am I in exultation? The next morning.
I would say anxiety because it's another week, but
yeah.
If I may just say this is like, it's going to be a fun season, or it's going to be a fun, end to the season, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be anything without the fans and without like people like you guys and, Men and the respectful 100 talk and Live Evil pod, I believe it is.
Yep.
And so when you guys are looking forward to moments like that are coming up, we wouldn't be half the organization we are without you guys. So that's always something to we love hearing like you guys like give your takes and give your opinions on this. It doesn't go on deaf ears.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's week 7 in the books. Time to look ahead real quick to week 8, and I did get Parker's name on the
nice
Excel sheet. So you are.
I didn't give you my picks.
Well, you get to do it live, as we always
do.
do. So let me get on over to the. All right, there we go. All right.
Oh no, I didn't make a different presentation.
Oh yeah, it still says Knoxmore. Yeah, I didn't think that far ahead. Oh well, no big deal. We all know it's Parker today.
Can I go last for my predictions?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, by all means.
So Curly, I do know yours because you sent them when you thought you weren't.
I did send them.
Make it on the show. But I think we are in agreement on this very first one, and that is for the first time live on air this season, I believe, Curly, you are predicting a FlyQuest loss. I don't think you have predicted a FlyQuest loss on air all split long. Wow. So,
yeah.
And I'm sorry to say, I am also taking this line of thinking.
All right.
Yeah. And this goes straight to what we were literally just talking about. I'm not worried about this team. I think we are going to be fine. I still think we'll be in LCS finals. I think we're going to MSI. I just think Cloud9 looks really, really good right now.
Yeah, Cloud9 is scary right now.
And
They are like,
yeah, they look really
insane.
good, and that is who I have taking the first one. Parker, you can answer us now if you want, because we're going to go through this line by line. So
go line by. You guys go get your get GG and TSM in, then I just want to know if that's okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I know Curly and I are also on the same page for these matchups. Curly and I have FlyQuest over Golden Guardians and TSM. Pretty straightforward here. I think for me, Golden Guardians still a very good team. Look, would not be shocked to see them in LCS finals at the end of the split, but I still think we've got the better of them.
I agree,
especially in places like top lane and I think bot lane. I know 6A is really popping off, but I just still think Prince is by far and away the best ADC in this league. And then TSM, absolutely. And then for me, TSM, they have been a thorn in our side in terms of on stage matches. They beat us in the first round robin, but I think it will be our time to take some vengeance.
Surely we can't lose to them twice.
And surely, oh, you've jinxed it now. Now I've got to do like the anti-counter jinx. So surely we will not lose to them.
Do you have to Do you have to remind you of last playoffs? What happened with TSM?
Exactly. We've underestimated them before. But I firmly believe it will not happen this time. All right, Parker.
All right.
More time to shine here.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with TSM. I'll just work my way up. So instead of doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So TSM is looking really good. A long fan of Wild Turtle, and along with the fact that he is a FlyQuest alum and just has the brightest smile. And I think he also, how he's been playing the past few games is up there along with if he was in the start of the season instead of Neo, and he is playing the way he is now, I would almost put him up there with Stixay, with comeback player kind of thing. With that all given, I'm going to say FlyQuest versus TSM is going to go to us.
Okay.
And then GG, great guys. Like we just got done talking about, Stixay is on a huge upswing.
Oh yeah.
And amazing performance, and it's great to see. And it's the only player I can remember from GG right now. If
they've got a Licorice, River, Gory, Stixay, Huhi.
Licorice, Gory, Stixay, Huhi. Oh, Huhi's awesome. Former 100 Thieves guy. I always have heard nice things about him, and they're a really good roster. I'm trying to think of their GM. He did the Nero. I've only heard funny things about him.
He's a great guy.
Yep, he's a great guy. And so with that, I'm gonna have to go with Fly Win versus GG. All right, and then C9. Man, what can't you say about C9? We got Fudge in the top lane. We have the Blabber Factor in the jungle, and his crabs. I guess they're still going with that trend.
It's true.
Nemesis.
They're beating. Speaking of beating a meme into the ground, Blabber's Crabbers. Yeah.
Hey, happy Tuesday, man. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. Enjoy your Tuesday.
Enjoy your Tuesday. Evanescence. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude. I actually am having trouble pronouncing it.
It's M&S.
M&S.
He has looked really good. And he's performed really well. I don't remember much from his time in Challengers, but his start with replacing Diplex and the whole Diplex and him meme thing was really funny by our jungler Spica, who is instigating drama. Berserker, who is an MVP. And along with a very stationed veteran like Sven, even though he has a little bit of a weak handshake, they're a great team. And I also, we have I have a lot of friends at Cloud9. someone who I've always looked up to is Portillo, the social media coordinator. He is someone who I've graciously got to know a little bit. He's a fabulous dude. And then, of course, Trisha, Michael, and Fiend, who are by no means nothing but the most amazing friends, amazing people. And Cloud9 is a great organization, and that's why now I'm announcing here and now Fly win on Wednesday. So
Perfect. He builds up his opponents only to just shut them down.
I don't need to talk about our gameplay. I can just talk about the other people, and exactly. I think it's better than anything else.
Beautiful.
Honestly, that's the most beautiful setup to a prediction I've ever heard.
I will be calling him Eminescence from now on. That will be.
It wasn't BM. I've heard a few people mispronounce it, and I've heard a few other ways, and I'm like, I'm gonna butcher this.
That's I think that's just it's how it's gonna stick. All right, so Parker with the 3-0 across the board. I do not know what Knox's picks were. He did not let us know. And then Curly and I with the 2-1s. I think the way
safely guess that he will be quite similar to us.
Yeah, I agree so as well. I think with that, the way I am looking at top 4 to shake out right now is Cloud9 at the 1 seed, us with the 2. EG actually has a pretty easy super week. They've got Immortals, 100 Thieves, and TL, so I think they'll take that 3rd spot. And then Golden Guardians should slide in at 4. They only need 1 win, I believe, to get in there. All right, so I want you guys, both of you. Super week is upon us. 3 games left. 4 teams, 2 playoff spots. You got 100 Thieves, CLG, TSM, and Team Liquid. Who of those 4 teams, which 2 are going to make it into the lower bracket? Curly, going to start with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 100 Thieves and TSM.
Okay, very nice. Parker, how about you?
It's actually so wild because I'm trying to think of like TL's games that they have coming up. TL, really quick, I just want to say this. TL, how they performed looked like an entire different roster from the start.
Oh yeah.
It's an interesting, but then they dropped a game to EG, correct, on Friday or last Friday?
No, they lost to C9. They beat us and then lost to C9.
So it's a question of coin flip. Are you getting Puresic or Mark?
Yeah.
And that's an interesting little factor. I am gonna have to go with this is really hard. And also, really quick, I'm not paid to like predict this stuff. Okay, they don't pay me. Like my coworkers, when we're done with the day, they'll watch me play League and they'll just mock me, and I'll be like, I'm not paid to be good. So the same with predictions. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna be a little spicy here. If I knew how the week went out, TL is gonna make it in. And I'm gonna guess TSM. I have a good feeling, and then I guess what? Then CLG would be out, and
100 Thieves.
Yeah, don't tell my roommate. Yeah, we won't tell my roommate that. Yeah, well, let's go with that. If he asks, I said 100 Thieves all the way to the top.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I heard. I heard you say 100 Thieves. So
okay.
I think for my part, just looking off of who they're playing. Oh boy, it's tough. I think I'm gonna go with CLG will not make it. I'm gonna start there. They're going up against Golden Guardians, TL, and Cloud9. So that's a rough way to close it out.
I believe in the faith.
TSM has us, Dignitas, and 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves has TSM, Evil Geniuses, and Immortals. I think I'm going to go 100 Thieves for one of them. And then... Man.
What's Team Liquid's schedule? I'm sorry, did you say it?
They've got Dignitas, CLG, and Evil Geniuses. And that it's for me it's a toss up between TL and TSM.
I need like Jat here to tell me like the I need the big like paper that says the like playoff like tiebreaker prediction thing.
Well, yeah, because
Um,
here's the thing: if TL's at 6 wins right now, so even if they get 3, they're only 9 and
I'm
9
gonna
and 9,
yeah, I'm gonna
and
say
they're going to get a tiebreaker if like with another 5th place team, because
I don't
sure, I
think,
think that at least one of them is going to go 2 and 1. I think CLG is unfortunately going to go 0 and 3,
yeah.
and like between 100 Thieves and Dignitas, like one or maybe both of them are going to go 2 and 1.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, not Dignitas, TSM. Don't know why I said Dignitas, but like, so it is more likely for TL to be either one game short at 8 and 10, which I think they're really going to be at, than for them to end up at 9 and 9. And even then, they have to do tiebreakers against teams that they've lost to.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking at TSM has the 2-0 head-to-head over Team Liquid right now. So I think I'm going to go with 100 Thieves and TSM as my final 2 teams making it in.
Yeah.
I've heard everything shake out, but I'm still gonna stick with Team Liquid and TSM.
Oh, totally.
I don't know. I got something in my
praying with your heart?
bones. No, that's definitely not it. I get the feeling that it's going to be something that is going to be talked about for a long time, and I hope it's not like a washout or anything like that right away.
Parker has an advanced copy of the Week 8 script. That's that's how he's able to make the
I get
memes,
that.
make the memes so
No.
quickly, and then oh wow, guys, I just came up with this really quick.
Yeah. I've had that script since the start of last year, so it's a 2-year thing. We don't have J.R. Martin writing it. We actually have staff writing it way ahead of time.
Yeah. Oh, Brandon Sanderson, because he just pumps out the content.
Or Stephen King.
Yeah.
Writing a book a day.
Yep. Basically.
You secretly like TL goes 2-1, 100 Thieves and TSM just both go 0-3. Freaking CLG goes 3-0. You know,
that would have to be that would be a wild storyline.
And so there's no tiebreaker TSM or TL in anyone, and then CLG just comfortably slotted into 5th place. Which could happen, by the way.
It all could
based
happen.
on the matches.
It all could happen. All right. Well, we're running long, so we got a couple things that we'll breeze through real quick.
Yeah.
NACL playoffs. They are going on literally right now. Salt League is happening. Your updates are that FlyFam dropped to Dig Challengers, and then Fly Challengers beat Immortals Challengers. Both of those were 2-0s.
Yep.
So now it will be Dig versus Fly in the second round, which will be a tough matchup. Dig Challengers did really well in the regular season, but Fly Challengers started out looking really strong at the end. Really came into form with the addition of Winsome. And also Masu moving to LA and getting on that sweet tournament realm ping. So big buff to him.
If I may just touch on this really quick.
Please.
I think FlyFam actually the first game performed decently well against Dig.
Yep.
It was actually I think they had a run for their money, and then that Baron play, and then I can't speak on it any further. But I will say it was a really close game, the first one, and I think the casters have even talked about this on like how like Dignitas Challengers looks a little boat rocky right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think tomorrow's game with Fly Challengers and Dig will be, I think it will be an interesting one. I'm obviously going to say Fly win for us, but I don't think it's going to be to the capacity that people are saying. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit better than a Fly win.
Nice. That'd be really sick. FlyFam taking on the team that Fly Challengers took down. They'll be going up against Immortals Challengers. That game is tomorrow at 4:00. Same time as Fly Challengers taking on Dig Challengers. You got double Fly action at 4:00. Parker, I don't envy the social media.
It's my day off, so that's all shots thing. I just
Well,
yeah.
sayonara, and we'll see you. Yeah, I did think FlyFam did put up actually a great showing against Dig. Unfortunate that it fell flat at the end, but definitely encouraging signs. And hey, definitely a weaker opponent in Immortals Challengers coming up, so maybe there is room to continue moving on through this tournament.
They actually took a game off in the regular season.
They did, yes, you are correct. They went 1-1 in that series, so very possible that something more could be done here. Yeah, and that is NACL still going on. Cloud9 Challengers took down TL Challengers today, so they've made it all the way to round 4. Cincinnati Fear is down 0-1 to Golden Guardians right now. They're the only non-LCS team to make it to round 2. All the other ones dropped to the losers bracket immediately. So tough time.
And it's actually really, it has huge implications these next few matches because of relegations.
Well, CLG Faith lost to Wildcard, so CLG Faith already is officially in that relegations zone.
Yep.
Yeah.
AOE has to go up against EG Challengers, and TL Faith has to go up against not TL Faith, TL First goes up against CLG. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There is an opportunity here to sneak through and not have to play in relegations. But it all starts with a single series, and that one is Immortals Challengers tomorrow at 4 o'clock. All right, last thing. I know we've had a lot of topics, but
I hope it is what it...
Oh, yeah, yes. You heard the J. J-Mook, another fat dub for our boy.
Yeah.
Now's the time where I need the meme of, celebrating the size of this dub, boss man. Parker, I know you are big J-Mook fan. Talk to me about this tournament. You were watching all the way, so give me... Yeah, what was the what was the journey like?
So really quick. First off, Kadoran got 9th.
He did, yes.
And Kadoran's been playing really well, and he deserves praise for how well he's been doing as one of only 2 of the top Marth mains next to Zane. He's really been showing a lot of stride, and we're always proud of where John is going. He's always willing to learn from his mistakes, and he had a really good tournament this last one, and we're always hoping that he's going to get a big dub. And then we move over to Jake, who a little background, I watched Genesis 9 from my apartment, and I started crying when he won his Genesis 9 major because I had viewed all these games of him getting second place, third, and watching him get that was amazing. It was really, he deserved it. And then watching this at the office with some other coworkers was so amazing. It was the atmosphere in the office was great. Me and Nick Fan were just going at it. And let me tell you, so really quick, so in pools up until top 16, he had not dropped a single map, which someone of his caliber is expected. You see these tweets where it's oh, you didn't drop a single map. You're dropping against the Dr. Luigi main who hasn't won a local ever in his life, and he just came to the tournament for fun. But once you hit top 16, it starts getting really competitive.
Yes.
And so he played Cody Schwab, who is formerly IBW, and Cody now
and
CLG.
and his doubles partner as well.
Yeah, his doubles partner, and he actually dropped that game and went down to losers. And Jake had taken some time off. He was a little bit sick, and was doing his own thing for a while. And he looked a little, I wouldn't say rusty, but he looked like he was trying to find that groove again. And then once he hit losers bracket, I don't know if he meditated a little bit more or if he had just had something click, but it was a magnificent run. I think he didn't drop a single game to his rematch with Cody. Moki, who is under the Moist Esports, Moist Critical, banner, really good game. I was actually in his chat on the Twitch account, and interacting, and Charlie loved that, and so that was a really good game. And then he obviously made it into grand finals. The first set, which is, if for those of you who don't know, if you're coming from the losers bracket, you need to win a best of 5 twice. And the first game was really dominant. It was like a different Jake, and we were like, wow, this is wild. And so he reset the bracket, and then second game rolls around, and he drops the first 2 games, and we're like, you never want to have to write those like second place tweets, and as someone who's done that for Jake and Kadoran a few times, it really sucks.
Yeah.
You don't like doing it, and so I didn't write it yet. And you can ask Nick this. I hadn't written it. I had actually had the first place tweet ready to go. I said I'm gonna put full faith into him, and he gets into the third game, comes back a little bit, and it's good. Second game is one-sided because he went Zane went to SFD, which is wild because he was getting dumpstered. And then that final game, Jake wanted it more.
Yeah.
He did not want to be a one major kind of guy. He wanted a second one on his belt, and it was amazing. Both the Melee guys are both fantastic people. I can't say anything nicer about Jake or John. They both love that game, and so it's always wild to me on how much love and passion there is in Melee. And I would almost say there's more passion for that esport than there is any other one.
Oh yeah.
And no offense to you guys for being just not just League fans, but no offense to anyone who doesn't get it. But Melee has been a game. It's kind of like, imagine like if Riot said, we don't want you being an esport, so we're not going to help you. And so there is no LCS, there is no big prizes, there's no worlds, and it's all just community built. And so watching both of these guys do so well and perform so well and to such passionate fans will always be a highlight of my day. And so I was really fortunate enough to see that one last night at the office. And I can't spoil too much, but we're hoping to help Melee out.
Excellent.
So help where we can.
Absolutely. That was a fantastic rundown. Thank you so much for that. We're always so proud of both Jake and John and the efforts that the amount of just practice that they're putting in, and the grind that it is for an esport that is unrecognized by Nintendo in many ways, avoided in others, put down, shunned, but just to keep showing up to these events, to keep putting in the work, to do their streams, to build the community, make the content, put all of it together is just such a reward for those of us who support the scene, right? It's like, for us who love watching good Melee, seeing these guys come back time after time after time, and the storylines and the narratives that have been built over literal decades. I mean, I remember watching Melee tournaments back in college and high school, and it was just in the early days of Twitch and and stuff. And it's like these guys are like Hungry Box, he's in his mid 30s now. These guys are and he's still performing, he's still getting top 12s and also winning majors. It's an incredible scene, and it's so vibrant and so beautiful.
Wisconsin is known for one Melee moment you may not know about, or you may do, the famous Hungry Box crab incident.
I know I've heard of this one.
Where a crab was thrown at Hungry Box after beating Mango at a water park in Wisconsin Dells.
I do remember this now. Yeah.
And that was because that came up on. I was watching. This is when the Score Esports was a little smaller, and I think they made a video about it. And I had watched that video, and I had also heard about the whole tournament. That's when I got into Melee a little bit. But joining FlyQuest, I've really gotten to know a lot more about Melee, and it's a beautiful esport. I'm a guy who really loves this industry as a whole. And I think you would realize the true fans of an esport if you took away the production, the money, and the developer from things. And if you really want to know and find out about someone and if they love an esport, ask them their thoughts on something like that. If they could support, or if they could go out of their way to support something like the Melee community and Smash community does.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. That is all we have time for. We have gone lengthy tonight, but it was excellent. Absolutely fantastic. Curly, do you have any final topics or things you want to throw out there before we roll out of here?
No, I think we covered
Pretty much
bit.
everything. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of Flight Check, our special guest star episode with Parkmom. Super Week is back. Do not forget, 2 days from tonight, we will be back in action for the LCS, starting with Cloud9 on Wednesday. Let me get the time. Is it another early? It is.
Probably.
They have a lot of early games.
Yeah. Hang on. I'm going to ask you about that in one quick question.
Okay.
I totally forgot to ask you about that. Yes, first game of the day versus Cloud9 on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, it's Golden Guardians and TSM, second game of the day, so estimated time of 7 p.m.
it's on
Eastern.
Wednesday.
7 p.m.
Yes.
Eastern time. How weird is it for the team, Parker, and just the org in general? We have played in like the first or second game almost every single day this split. We have had like, I think, one end of day match, and it was versus Dignitas in week 5.
Yep.
Actually, both our Dignitas matches, week 1 and week 5, are the only ones we have played at the end of the day.
It's actually kind of just really funny to us in a way.
Yeah.
Because I think we most of the time get done around like 5 mostly. Sometimes we'll get done around 6. No, I can't even think of that. Like most of the time we get done by 5. And so it's actually really nice, if I'm being honest with you, because we'll just be done at like, LCS, like we get a game in at 2, we'll be going back to the office around, 3, and it's kind of like the day is kind of shot from there. And so we hit a little bit of LA traffic that I'm discovering about, but I like it. I think for the rest of the staff, they do as well in a way. I don't think they're willing to say it publicly, but you get your weekends.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
But the guys are still like grinding out. I think in their mind, it's just Thursday, Friday are just now their Saturday, Sunday to compete.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny how many times we're at the top, and I won't go into too much detail about that, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been funny to us all split because we've been repeating that line about, hey, we're the first game of the day, all split long. So,
if I may say something before we go, it's been a real pleasure to come on. Absolutely. You guys are heart and soul of the community as well. You guys are seen as community figures, and it's really great to as great as it is to come on. No, I feel honored that you guys took the time out of your day to do this, and know that anyone listening or watching, you as community members are always valued. One reason why I love working at FlyQuest is because I can interact with you on social media, and not a lot of orgs do that. It's not easy to respond to all of you, but know that I always try to make my best effort to. Me and Shot both do. And so I'm very fortunate to work with an org that gives me the capability to show appreciation to the amazing members of this amazing community. So know that you guys are highly appreciated with all you do.
Brilliant. That means a lot. Thank you very much for saying all that. Absolutely. All right. With that, the final closeout things. Hey, be sure with Super Week coming up, you got to follow us on Twitter so that you know exactly what we're thinking. At any given point during any of the games, or after the games for our usual horse on the beach post L
No.
meme, or for the Let's Go face meme when we get that dub. And, follow FlyQuest as well for Parker's next banger meme coming out after some memeable LCS incident. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at Santos DB, Nox, who's not here but will be back next week, at Nox War with 2 R's, Curly at Curly_QQ_, and Parkmom at Official Parkmom. And you can catch him there. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well. All kinds of esports discussion and otherwise taking place there, including our brand new food channel. And if you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning, as well as on Spotify later this week, hopefully before Super Week happens. If you're watching that and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Curly, final notes, shoutouts, or plugs before we wrap up?
Well, in case you didn't hear it the last few times, Super Week is on Wednesday. So remember that it's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
But I'm going to shout out Parker, right back to you, because you and Shot have been absolutely wonderful, because I've hung out with Shot in my own Discord a couple of times, and he's talked to me, at liberty, of what he's allowed to about stuff at the org, more than I would ever expect anyone to, and it makes me happy that you guys, have a level of candor or, candidness with the community. You're not trying to hide things like, oh, it's classified. Oh, I can't talk to you. So, I like that you guys really interact with the community. And then also Sonica, who's consistently active in our chat, hosting the community nights. And then, I'm in her VTuber Discord. Just you three are absolutely wonderful at carrying the community aspect of FlyQuest. So thanks to you guys for all that you do. It's really, really appreciated.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I never want to be a part of an org that doesn't appreciate its fans. So.
Absolutely. Very true. Parker, how about you? Any shout-outs or plugs that you would like to make?
Shout out my family. They're amazing. Shout out to Disney World. Shout out to the amazing Fly Fam, the community, and the amateur squad. Shout out to the challenger squad. Shout out to the coaches. I don't think they get enough credit that it's due. Shout out to all the staff, business side and competitive. Shout out to Shot, my beautiful director of socials. Shout out to my favorite community manager at FlyQuest currently, Sonica. And that's about it. If you guys aren't following FlyQuest, make sure you go and check out our other social media. You're doing my job a great favor. And just remember that you're always welcome at FlyQuest. Though things are always in motion, it's always going to be the same, and it's always going to be the most inclusive, loving, caring place it can be at the end of the day, no matter what. And I always will want it to be that. So, and again, thank you for having me on, guys. It's been a great pleasure.
Absolutely. It has been fantastic having you on. For myself, I'd like to thank the Academy. And shout out to Everything Everywhere All at Once. I still haven't seen it, but now that it's won Best Picture, I am obligated. I am obligated to see it. So shout out to that movie for doing so much for Asian representation in the Hollywood scene. Hopefully, we get a lot more movies like that one down the road. All right, that's all we got. We'll be back next week to discuss the end of the LCS split and the beginning of playoffs. So for now, stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Bye.
Peace, y'all.